In this final video, we're going to summarize the concepts we've gone through so far and recreate our poster from scratch. So I'm going to open up a new instance of Inkscape, and I'm going to just walk through excuse me, the steps that we walked through in the first set of videos. So just going to match the area I'm recording from. So first step, again, I'm going to want to do landscape. So I'm going to switch to landscape mode, close that. I'm going to give myself a basic guideline as far as where I want my title to be, and then I'm going to follow a 3-column format. I'm not going to be quite as precise as I might want to be with those. That's good enough for what I'm trying to achieve. So I'm going to create this. Let's do cat. This is my title. And then I'm going to drag that down here, and I'm going to resize it. So again, I'm holding the control key to make sure I size my X and my Y axis the same. And then I can put that right there. I'm going to make a copy of it, and I'm going to create some authors for my heading as well. So I'm going to hit F8, and that's going to allow me to edit my text. So author A, author B, excuse me. I want that to be a little bit smaller, so I'm going to hold the control key, make sure that size is correctly. I'm just going to drop that right there. Zoom in, plus, and then what I want to do is I want to go to my alignment panel, last selected, and I'm going to left align these two to make sure so that just a little bit of a nudge there. So I'm going to give myself a heading for my abstract. Not sure why that moved on me. Let's put this back here. So this text I want to make bold. F8. Here's my bold. Okay. And again, I'm going to left align. So I just want to add some. So let's say, for example, that I had written my paper, and now I'm just creating a poster for that content. What I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to fill in regions of my poster with the content that I've written. So this box that I have here, I'm gonna just give it a white background. I'm not actually going to use the box, but I'm specifying where I want to put my text. So I'm just trying to have a visual representation of how I'm going to lay things out on the screen. So I'm going to go over to my stroke and make sure that has some ambience that I can look at. And I'm going to give it a black stroke line and a white body. So I'm going to reduce the style on that stroke. So I don't want to have to worry about the actual content that's going in here. So I'm just going to copy some content. It's called lorem ipsum text. So I'm just going to paste that in as a text there. If you don't have scroll bars, you can go into the view menu and show hide scroll bars. So because the text was so long, it just kind of scrolled off to the side of the screen. So I want to go back to where I was. So what I want to be able to do is I'm going to drop down the font size on that down to about a 16. And what I want to do is I want to place that text. So I have it highlighted. You can see that by the box, the dotted box around it. And I want to put that text inside to this box. So I'm going to, let's start over. Select the text, select the box, and then in the text menu there's this flow into frame, and what that's going to do is it's going to just take that text and format it so it fits inside that box that I created. So there's, if this was my abstract, now I've placed that text inside that box. If I zoom in now, I can actually just get rid of the box if I want to. So if I zoom back out, so there's my title, author, abstract, and there's some text inside a box that's the size that I want. So the other thing I want to be able to do is I want to be able to take my my visualization that I had in this other document, and I want to bring that into my paper, my poster. So I'm just going to copy this to the clipboard, Control C again on a PC, and then I'm going to drop that into my poster anywhere because I can resize it when I want to. So again, I can grab that and move it around. So let's hold Control so that way we alter the X and Y axis at the same time when we shrink, and we can just put that right there. So actually let's top align my visualization with that text. So last selected was the text, so there I've just aligned my text. So let's see if we can make the visualization about the same height. So if we really want to have some help in doing that, we can bring a guide down, and then I can shrink my visualization accordingly. So let's leave that there. Okay, so let's see. Let's nudge this over a little bit. All right. So what else do I want to do? I've shown how to put the text into a box. So the other thing I want to take a look at is layers. So layers allow you to turn individual elements on the screen on and off. So if I were to create a new layer, so this would be my alternate visualization. And I can take this object and I can push it up into that layer. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key and page up. And now that visualization is in that layer. So what I can do is I can turn this layer on and off now. And what that allows me to do is make a copy of it. And let's go into fill and stroke. And let's make a design alternative that has a different set of color characteristics. So I'm going to break this apart. And I'm going to zoom in so I can be a little bit finer on what I'm going to modify out a little bit. So I'm going to take all of these objects, Control Z, and I'm going to I can't edit them all at the same time. So let's select these guys. Still not letting me do it. It's hard to pick the individual points when you've got this many. So the fill, let's go ahead and change the saturation of that very large point that I created. And let's say that we're not sure if we want to show the first visualization or the other. So I'm going to go ahead and group this again. Control G, and then I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to call this my gray dot, and I'm going to push this one up into that layer. Shift page up, and then I can align those two. Looks like the border region is a little bit different. I didn't select enough, so I'm going to zoom out to make sure that I select that border region at the same time. Group those together. I think so those they're not quite the same because that outer border is not aligned. So I'm going to break that apart again. And this, for some reason, is not where it was originally. Alright. I'm going to select that all. I'm going to group it, Control G. And then I'm going to eyeball align the two. So now if I go up to my layers, what I can do is I can kind of look at, okay, this is without the gray. This is with the gray, so let's nudge that down a little bit. So this is a technique that I use a lot when I'm doing prototypes for user interfaces, and I can effectively turn menus on and off by using layers. So let's might not be the perfect example of what I'm trying to demonstrate. If, for example, I had bar graphs and I had the different colors of the graphs and I wanted to segment them by having a lower region a different color, I'd be able to look at these design alternatives. But basically I'm trying to show the functionality that layers provide, and that allows you to just be able to look at your visualizations in pairs and kind of decide which one is the correct one. So that's how I use it in my designs. So let's zoom out. So that covers the majority of the tasks that I wanted to go over. We looked at your scroll bars, because if those disappear, you're going to be in trouble. So I wanted to show you where those are. I've looked at layers. You can also embed layers inside one another. So if I had a layer, when I add a new layer, the position you can say as a sublayer. So then you can have some content that's inside other content, and then if you turn off the topmost layer, all the layers inside it would turn off as well. You can also lock layers to make sure that they don't move. So the final thing that I've yet to do is to actually do a save. So when you do a save as, the native format is SVG. So that was actually what ggplot exported to, was an SVG. So you can save that to an SVG. So if I put this in my my document, I created an Inkscape folder here. So this is my drawing, my SVG drawing. The alternative you have, and that's what we did in the last video with our visualization, is you can export to a bitmap. So again, whatever selected is what's going to be in your visualization. Or you could just go to the page, and that would make sure that as long as you're inside this bounding box, that will be exported as well. So if I go to the end, it's going to export to a PNG file, and there is my bitmap. So now if I open up that bitmap, so I'm not sure exactly how we would use this. Maybe if we were trying to do a paper poster, you could print out this bitmap file. But if I open this with Paint now, so there's my visualization embedded inside my poster. A little bit too large for this view. You can see I'm a little too close to the edge on that, so what I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, let's when I do my export, let's export the page instead. So let's export that. And then if we open our drawing again, that's a little bit better. So if I zoom out, so there is our pseudo poster. So we've got an abstract. We talked about how to get the text. We talked about how to get the text inside a box. We talked about how to look at design alternatives. I'm not sure if that will necessarily click based on how I demonstrated it, but it's certainly a tool that's useful if you have content that you want to be able to play with and turn off, turn on. So if we wanted to go with, you had different concepts about what your title was going to be. You could put each title in a different layer, and you could look at, okay, what does my poster look like when I use this title? What does it look like with this title? You can take a look at different white space orientation, alignment. So you can change things up, and that'll give you an idea of how you can work with your design and manipulate it without losing content. So you wouldn't have to delete something in order to look at how it would present on screen with a different alternative. So I think that's about the extent of what I want to cover. I mean, there's a lot more inside Inkscape, but I think I went through the basics that I use on a regular basis. And certainly when you're doing posters, the text flow is going to come in handy, and the guides might be very helpful to kind of space out your poster presentation. So with that, thanks for watching these videos. I hope you gained something out of it, and I hope I may have converted you into an Inkscape user, because I certainly use it all the time, and it's really a tool that I think is a great help when you're designing content like this. So thank you.